Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's Tuesday Talks webinar. My name is Susan Brown, the Associate Director of Parent and Family Programs. It is our pleasure to be hosting a webinar on today's topic with the College of Science. Today you'll be hearing from Danielle Massey, Senior Academic Advisor in the College of Science, and Veronica Porter. She is the Associate Professor and Co-op Coordinator for the College of Science. So welcome, Veronica and Danielle. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I know parents like to hear what's going on in the college and some of the highlights, so thank you.
So today's agenda is going to be some college highlights, new courses and programs, academic resources, clubs and organizations, co-op opportunities, important dates, and then we'll have some time for some questions and answers. The College of Science has 44 undergraduate programs, which include many interdisciplinary combined programs. We currently have 2,836 undergraduate students throughout those 44 programs. We're very proud of the fact that 70% of our faculty are tenured or tenured track faculty, so your students are being taught by professionals who have strong ties to the Northeastern community. COS plays a central role in contributing towards the university's major research themes in health, security, and sustainability. The college aims to integrate fundamental and transitional research in any interdisciplinary environment. The college's research program, which attracted $140.7 million in external research funding, $34 million in interdisciplinary grants, emphasizes research and learning directed towards solving complex problems and impact humanity and our environment. In the spirit of partnering with and innovating, COS has added 6 new combined majors for the fall 2018 academic year. We have also added 4 new +1 programs, which I'll tell you about next. COS is continually developing new programs, and we expect to have new programs for the next several years. We are excited to be growing our +1 offerings here in COS. For those of you who have not heard of these before, a +1 program allows students to receive their bachelor's degree and their master's degree in 5 years. You can do this because we double count 16 credits towards your undergraduate and your graduate degrees. This is a great way for students to get a leg up in the job market with a professional master's degree and save money because they will only do 1 year's worth of credits post-graduation. We have a variety of ways that your students are supported here in COS. The first is through undergraduate research. We are very proud of the opportunity for students to get involved with faculty members' labs as early as their first year. Many of our students have been published through their work with a faculty member. We also encourage students to study abroad, and one of these ways science students can do this is through our Dialogues of Civilization programs. These are faculty-led experiences that span either Summer 1 or Summer 2. Students receive 8 credits in a specific area. COS has several dialogues, including one to Iceland to study volcanoes and glaciers, going to Chile to study microbiology and photography, and one going to London to study personality and abnormal psychology through an international lens. We also offer both individual and group tutoring for students who need help in a specific course. We try to get a struggling student help as quickly as possible through our FACT system. FACT is an early morning system that enables faculty to reach out to students' academic advisors if a student is struggling in the class. The advisor can then direct the student towards their options before it is too late to succeed in the course. We have a large variety of clubs and organizations, both in the College of Science and the university at large. Many of our COS organizations bring guest speakers who are professionals in their respective fields. Students have the opportunity to learn what work is like in their field as well as network with those individuals. The clubs offer a way for a student to get connected to others in their major, which can help the student find study partners or identify an upperclassman to serve as their mentor. We can't emphasize enough how beneficial it can be for students to get involved in the Northeastern community outside of the classroom. Given all of the options and resources available to students at Northeastern, the college has several people who will help your student navigate all of their choices. Unique to the College of Science is our faculty advisor. These are faculty members that are active professionals in the student's discipline, and they help the student navigate curriculum choices as well as postgraduate options. They can speak to the student about options and opportunities within their chosen field of study. Your student also has an academic advisor who is assigned to them from orientation until graduation. They help the student plan their time here at Northeastern, as well as serve as a resource to get the students connected to help on campus. We encourage students to visit their academic advisor once per semester to ensure they are on track. Finally, each student has a co-op coordinator who helps the student navigate the co-op process from resume writing to finding and accepting a job to reflecting on their experience when they return. I'll now turn this presentation over to Dr. Veronica Porter to speak to you about our co-op program in the College of Science.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for listening in. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the co-op program. So co-op is short for cooperative education. It's an educational program in which students alternate semesters of academic study with semesters of full-time employment in positions related to their academic and/or career interests in the U.S. and globally. Northeastern was founded in 1898, so we have over 105 years of co-op experience. Each year, about 9,789 students are placed in co-op positions. 3,000 co-op employers globally are the employer partners we work with. Northeastern students were placed in 37 states and 80 countries. 76.4% of co-op placements were in Massachusetts. About 600 students were global co-op placements. 51% of graduating seniors receive at least one job offer from a prior co-op employer, and about 92% of graduates are employed or enrolled in graduate school about 9 months after graduation. We believe in a developmental approach which involves working one-on-one with our students. We guide them through career exploration and career decision-making that hopefully encourages them to embrace lifelong learning and delivers the skills and knowledge for them to experience career success. We guide and support your students' pathway to success. Our partnership with employers, both new employers as well as long-standing employers, makes the program work. We surveyed about 1,000 employers in 25 different industries across the U.S. Over 90% of them say that they prefer to hire candidates with work experience, and over 64% of them say that they prefer to hire candidates with experience directly related to their jobs. And this is something that our students graduate with. They can gain as much as 1.5 years of paid professional experience by the time they graduate by doing 1, 2, or 3 co-ops. Co-op is real-world experience. Students work full-time and they're critical members of the organization. They do not pay tuition while on co-op. They maintain their full-time student status, so they have health insurance, loan forbearance, and they have use of the campus, such as the gym, the cafeterias, and all of the other services. They do not receive a grade, but they do receive notation on their transcript. They're doing real work in the organizations that they work in. They're working in research labs, in clinical settings, in business environments, in a wide variety of industries and fields depending on their interests. They're part of the team, and the employers depend on them. They take their jobs very seriously and are passionate about their work. Co-op is a partnership among the students, employers, academic and co-op faculty. Students learn that there's a process to finding not only a job, but considering their careers. I remember the student, it was a freshman, who walked into my office and said, "Is this the place where they hand out the co-op jobs?" And clearly that's not how it works. So, the person realized that it is a process and that they are an important part of the process. As I mentioned, our employers are really intricate to our program. We consider them our faculty in the field. Students develop long-lasting relationships with their supervisors and keep in touch with them long after graduation. Recently, one of the employers sent me a list of the 97 students he has worked with over the years, and he knew till this day where many of them were. I just received an email a couple of days ago from an employer who said in his email, "I just went over all of the resumes, and I have to say how impressed I am with each of the candidates and how professional the resumes are. Northeastern has done a really nice job preparing them. It's going to be really hard to select a candidate. I'm looking for someone that is motivated to learn and would be willing to bring on someone with less experience if they were driven." This is basically what our employers are telling us in terms of the feedback. We also work closely with our academic faculty. We collaborate with them, we communicate with them, and many times students bring into the classroom the up-to-date information that they're learning in the field, and our faculty try to incorporate that into their teaching. A little bit about the schedule. Students have to complete 3 academic semesters before being eligible for co-op. So generally, co-op begins in the 2nd semester of sophomore year. So students will either start co-op in January of their sophomore year or in July. Before going on co-op, they must complete a 1-credit professional development course. I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. They must have at least a 2.0 GPA, and they do generally 6-month opportunities during the fall or spring semester. The co-op curriculum consists of 3 parts. a preparation phase, the activity phase, and a reflection phase. And all of that is what makes co-op very different from a regular internship. The professional development for co-op course students take the semester before they go out on co-op. It's discipline specific, so it's geared towards students in particular majors. We cover things like skills and interests, resume writing, writing a good cover letter, remembering to do thank you notes, acquiring references. They do a mock interview, which is kind of a real simulation of what they're going to experience. They come dressed in interview clothes. They need to prepare for a particular job that they're interested in. They need to prepare questions. They need to practice answering questions. We also have computer support programs for interviews that they can use if they want additional practice on interviewing. We teach them about LinkedIn and networking. By the end of the co-op class, they will have submitted a good LinkedIn profile. Most of our employers tell us that they're using LinkedIn as they're selecting candidates. We cover topics such as mindset, mindfulness, and motivation. They have readings to do and reflections to do on those readings so that they're really thinking about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And then, depending on the major, for example, in biology, they may do a National Institute for Health tutorial where they learn about working with human subjects or safety awareness. So those are some of the topics that are in our course. So we encourage our students to really take an integrated view of their academics and thinking about combining that with their professional experience. It's an opportunity when they go on co-op for them to make these connections, connect the theory and the practice, to also build skills, learn what their abilities are, and develop experience. The co-op model is a structured and reflective model. The academics and co-op reinforce each other. They provide opportunities for dynamic personal, professional, and intellectual growth. And students acquire the ability to reflect and synthesize between the academic and experiential endeavors and realize that one informs the other. The reflection component is really important, and we provide them with opportunities to reflect before co-op, in the co-op preparation class, during the co-op, and after. They complete 3 guided reflections during the co-op, and then after the co-op, there are some additional things that they engage in. So just to give you an example, the first reflection is sent out shortly after they begin co-op, and we ask them things like, tell us about a typical day in your life at your co-op position. How do you spend your time? What types of decisions do you make? What types of decisions do you make outside of work? Because we know that we want them to realize that they should have work-life balance, and that decisions that they make in their personal time can affect their work time and vice versa. Describe at least one internal and one external motivator for you as you start co-op. In what ways is your co-op experience contributing to your personal and professional development? After a couple of months in, we reconnect with them and we ask them to describe a challenge that they have encountered during their co-op. And we ask what skills, knowledge, and personal qualities did they use to approach it, and what did they learn from it. Then a couple of months later, we connect with them again, and we want them to kind of look back over their last 2 reflections and tell us, again, about a typical day in their life as a member of the profession. Now that they've learned kind of what their role is in the organization, we want them to look beyond that and really think about their role in the profession as a whole. How do you spend your time? What types of decisions are you making? We ask them to revisit Guided Inquiry 1 and look at how they're different or similar to the answer that they just gave. We then, when they come back on campus, ask them to refer back to their reflections, and we ask them what kind of mindset, growth or fixed, had they used to approach a particular challenge that they had. Having the experiences that they've had, how would they approach things differently today? We ask them to talk about the connections between work and academics. We ask them to describe ideal future co-op experiences and what additional skills and knowledge do they want to acquire. After they complete their co-op assignments and they come back to campus, we ask them to also do a more in-depth self-reflection. And while they're on co-op at the very end, we ask them to have an exit interview with their supervisor, and we ask the employers to do an evaluation and work with the students on that. So there are a couple of student quotes that I wanted to share with you after they had come back from co-op. One said, "This experience was truly life-changing for me. While I've had other jobs, this was my first professional job. Communication, dedication, teamwork, professional management, managing up, professional interaction, and managing competing priorities are all skills I either learned or strengthened during my time on co-op. My experiences helped me to grow into the professional I am today. Another student shared that my coworkers taught me that shared accountability is essential to productivity. I was an irreplaceable part of the team, and I felt valued because of it. Feeling this appreciation should motivate me to continue to be an active contributor to teams in the future. So on co-op, to kind of summarize, again, it's an opportunity to discover, to partner, to innovate, which is also the theme of our college. It's the opportunity to develop hands-on skills and experience in the field, to build a network and find mentors, to integrate theory and practice, and to discover where they will find their passion. And one final quote from a student: "Looking back now, I feel like a completely new person. Personally, my co-op has inspired in me more confidence and motivation. I am eager to find what is new and what is important. If anything, I have become even more eager to become a professional." Boston is a great place for science majors. These are some of the logos from some of the companies that we work with. We work with all of the major hospitals, biotech companies, large and small, and most of the academic institutions. So for some additional information, you can go to the College of Science Experiential Education website and learn more about what some of our students are doing, and there are also some videos profiling some of our students.
Some important dates that are coming up for us. We began fall registration this past Monday. April 19th, that's the reading day, is also the last day to drop any of our spring classes should a student need to. We really encourage students to speak with their academic advisor should they be considering this. April 27th is the last day for final exams for the spring semester. May 4th is our big day. That's our commencement day. And May 7th is the beginning of our Summer 1 classes.
And our contact information is on the last slide. Please feel free to reach out to us if we can provide you with any additional information or you have any questions after the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica and Danielle. That was really interesting. I particularly liked when you read the student quotes to hear what they said about their co-op jobs and how they enjoyed their placement. At this time, we will begin taking questions from the audience. You can type in your question on the right-hand side of the screen under the Q&A pod. So if anyone would like to ask Veronica or Danielle a question, you may type them in now. We'll wait a few moments. While we're waiting, Veronica, does Northeastern place any students on co-op, and in what types of positions do they?
Oh, yes, they do. I think Northeastern is one of our biggest co-op employers.
I thought so.
In all kinds of positions, in the business area, at our children's center, right here in this office, there's a terrific co-op student who I thought was a full-time staff member. She's so professional. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are many departments employ co-op students here.
A question for you, Danielle. You spoke a little bit about the BS and the MS program. We have a parent saying, for the 5-year BS and MS program, do they still need one more year of work?
In some cases, they can be 3 co-ops for work experience-wise, but the way that the +1 programs work is essentially the last year of your undergraduate degree for your BS is the same first year as your master's program. So most master's programs are 2 years. So you're doing the last year of your undergrad and your first year of your master's program simultaneously. And then we will say you can use up to 16 credits. Usually it's 4 classes, but it depends on the programs that you're able to then transfer or bring with you to your master's level and apply to that program. For the co-op side of it, some programs do require, like the biotech program requires 2 undergraduate co-ops, and then there's a third one that you do as a master's level student. So some students might choose to do a 5-year program for their undergraduate, for their BS, where they would complete 3 co-ops, and then they might do a 4th one if they decide to do the master's program on top of that. And I guess in that case, it wouldn't be a 5+1, it would be a 6-year program, but you'd still be graduating with 2 degrees. So students graduate with a bachelor's degree, so they're able to attend that May 4th commencement ceremony, receive their bachelor's degree, and then they come back for 1 additional year, maybe a little bit more depending on what they started when they came into the program, but essentially it's a year of additional graduate work that they would do in their master's degree.
We have a parent saying, my son is a freshman in the environmental science program that currently does not offer a +1. If Northeastern opens this option up during the remaining years, will he be able to apply for a +1 in his junior year? I mean, is that an option?
Yeah, it's definitely an option should we create another +1. One program that we would talk with students about, especially that he would be eligible to do, would be the MAT +1, which is a Master's of Arts in Teaching +1. So they would be able to do, if you wanted to go on and teach at a K through 12 program, that you could do that as well. So yes, any new programs. So one example of new programs is the combined major within the business and the psychology program. That's new as of the fall 2018 catalog year. That doesn't mean anybody that entered previously couldn't apply to that program. So any new programs that we create, as long as the student, it makes sense for the student, and that's where the academic advising really comes in, you could actually go into that program.
Someone's asking about the Plus One program. How does that work for a physics major? Are there any options there?
There actually is, yeah. There's a BS to MS program for physics, but there's actually a BS to PhD program within our physics department.
This is for you again, Danielle.
Popular.
A parent is asking, my question is about establishing a minor. Does a microbiology, cell biology major really need to establish a minor to increase the odds of them being hired for a position?
This goes to personal preference. I don't believe that a minor will make the difference between a student being hired or a student not being hired for a job. I think minors diversify a candidate. So just like if you were going after a graduate program and you're applying to those schools, or you're going after a co-op job or a full-time employment, you want to make yourself the most diverse and best candidate that you can possibly be for yourself. And if that means amplifying that with a minor or exploring something different and that you feel is going to set you apart from your peers, then by all means do it. Students have minors in a variety of different majors. When I was advising for biochemistry, I saw anything from health science all the way up to philosophy, to history, to an art major, and they seemingly don't make sense, but for the student they made sense. So you really can minor in anything cross college, cross the university, as long as it makes sense for the program that we're applying for.
Thank you. Veronica, now we're going to switch to the co-op side of things. There's lots of questions coming in about that. How far in advance do students apply for a co-op, and how long does it usually take for them to find out if the company is hiring them?
So if they're going on co-op in January, they would start applying in September. They would start working with us. If they're going on co-op in July, they would start working with us in January and February. It can happen very quickly, or it can take a longer period of time depending on how much experience the student has, how much competition there is. It really does simulate a real-world experience in that the students, submit their resumes, the employers review the resumes, and the employers decide who they're going to be inviting in for interviews. But they work with us, and they're involved in the co-op preparation course simultaneously with their job search, so they are meeting with us on a weekly basis, both in the class, and we meet with them individually as needed.
So what would happen if a student was applying for a co-op for June and they were unable to find a position? Do they have any choices? Do they work with a co-op counselor?
Yes, they would continue to work with their co-op advisor. We work with students right up until changeover.
Okay. Someone's asking for some feedback on psychology majors on some companies that students may work with. And I guess they're asking what type of companies they would get a job in.
Sure. So psychology is a really great, diverse major, and it really depends on the interests of the students. So they could do anything, from working at Arbor Hospital, which is a mental health facility, to teach, to work in research, to work in a business area. As Danielle mentioned, there's a combined business degree, and many students might be interested in that. We have students who are interested in HR or management or training or community service, social service types of agencies, working with children, working in lots of nonprofit types of programs. So there's a real wide variety of things that psychology majors do. That's why we work with them and we take such a personal approach, because it really does depend on the student's interests.
What would be your advice to parents if a student has a major and a minor? Is it better for them to stick to their major when looking for co-ops, or is it better to do one in their major and one in their minor?
I think it depends on what the major and minor is. If it was something like biology and philosophy, there may be something in medical ethics or, something like that. I think it really depends on kind of what the student wants to explore. But it could open up for them to do one of each if they wanted to, or there may be some jobs that combine both. So again, that would be a conversation that we would really work with the student individually on.
There's a parent saying, my student is a fourth-year student and is trying to get a second co-op and is having some challenges. Sent out 30 applications, did about 10 interviews, and only received one job offer aligned with his major. What advice would you give them, maybe to assist them in, finding more job opportunities?
Sure. I would advise the student to really work very closely with their co-op advisor, because we're working with students, on a weekly basis. There are always new things coming in every day that we're working on. And as I mentioned, we work with students right till changeover takes place. So it's still early. The co-op doesn't start until July, There'll still be new opportunities coming in. There are some employers who haven't posted yet because maybe they haven't gotten their funding approval yet, or they are not sure if they're going to be needing someone, and then they will figure that out in another few weeks. So the communication piece is really important. We frequently send out emails to students when new jobs are posted, so to really be looking at the NU career system consistently and to continue to apply for positions.
Another question. My daughter is a sophomore with English and biology major. How can she get a co-op or research during her summer?
So the student could think about doing an internship during that time period. Internships are posted at our career development site, and that's also on NU Careers if the student's interested in that. There's also a student employment website on campus, and sometimes internships are posted there as well. But that might be a good way to get started before co-op.
I have a question for Danielle, too. My daughter cannot take the prerequisite neurobiology course. Even though it's on the academic list, it says she cannot take that course. Does that make sense to you?
Sometimes we do restrict certain courses to specific majors in order to give that major that needs that major in order to progress the first opportunity. I would really encourage your student to reach out to their academic advisor, because there could be ways to kind of go around that, or at least petition the department to do that. We have a whole list of contacts within the different departments that we refer students to kind of help navigate any of these issues, especially if it's the student's a minor, maybe doing behavioral neuroscience as a minor. It might be appropriate for them, and that would be restrictive because it's not the primary major. But we definitely talk to the academic advisor. We could kind of help navigate that.
Okay. I don't see any questions coming in right now, but I'll give a few minutes to see if anybody has any final ones. Oh, now they're all coming in. Is there still time for students to apply for the International Dialogue for the summer or fall?
That's a great question. Some dialogues have closed because the priority deadline was, I believe,
it was in February. We actually did a webinar with them, so I believe for summer.
So that's the priority deadline. Some dialogues that didn't fill might still have openings, so there could be an opportunity. Your students should definitely talk to the GEO or the Global Experience Office to see if there's any available or which ones are still available. Their website's fantastic, so that you can even see which ones are available or still open, or which ones are closed for your students.
I was just going to say the same thing. Their website is fantastic.
It is.
I look at it all the time, and it shows all the different countries and all the different dialogues.
I go straight there whenever a student starts talking about study abroad dialogues. I go straight to their website.
Yeah. And it does give all the dates, but I do think at least for the summer it's passed. So
that's the priority deadline. So that's the date that all faculty must have made a decision by the priority deadline. So some students were not accepted, or they were kind of deferred because there's only so many slots within the dialogues, but that opens up for other students to go and apply for other ones. So some may not have filled yet.
I do want to add, if you have a personal question that you would like answered by any of us, please feel free to email parents@neu.edu. I know sometimes we're just discussing co-op and academics, and you may have more specific questions. So if you do, please email us at parents@neu.edu. So I do want to thank everybody for taking part in today's webinar. For more information on the College of Science, or if you have any, like I mentioned, any remaining unanswered questions, please feel free to contact any of us that are on the screen, or just email parents, and I'll make sure their staff gets it. At the very end now, what will happen is we are closing the webinar, and we will end the meeting. You will see a survey that is going to be pop up. Please take a few minutes to provide us with any feedback on today's session, and suggest any future topics that you would like us to cover at that time. So again, thank you, and our next webinar will be April 17th at 12 o'clock, and we will be talking with the College of Arts, Media, and Design. So we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you, and have a good day.